Your daily dose of sports talk is here. Highlights, interviews, and analysis. From the entertainment capital of the world, SportsWrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does, and great to have you with us on this Monday edition of the show. So much to do over the next 60 minutes, and glad to have you hanging out with us. Across the U.S. and Canada, on over 260 affiliates, and of course you could be watching anywhere in the world on YouTube, listening on the podcast. All right, a lot to do, as I said. NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs kicked off over the weekend. We'll get into that. Brian Twining will be here, our old friend from Bleacher Nation. We'll talk NASCAR with him after Tyler Reddick wins again and is putting together one of the more remarkable NASCAR seasons that we have seen in recent memory. So we'll talk about that some. Big news from the NFL over the weekend with a massive trade. The Giants sending their best defensive player to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll get into that. Tomorrow we'll cover the draft. Bill Bender will be here to do that. But there's a lot going on around the NFL, a lot of maneuvering with teams making moves here before we get into the draft on Thursday night in Pittsburgh. The Mets losing streak has hit 11. We'll get into that in odds and ends, plus a surprise retirement in WWE coming out of WrestleMania. So we'll get to all of that and a whole bunch more. But we start things out as we always do. It's time for the big story. And the big story on this Monday is presented by our friends at Colossus Fantasy. Because, of course, a big story deserves a colossal sponsor. Colossus Fantasy, pick'em games, peer-to-peer games, they have it all. If you have not downloaded the app yet, scan the QR code below and go download the app. Then, when you make your first deposit for that pick'em game you want to get involved with, when you make that first deposit, use my promo code SportsWrap. And all it is a $40 bonus on a $10 deposit. You put in $10, you get another $40. It's $50 to play with. Even better, if you put in $20, you get an $80 bonus. Means $20 gets you $100 to play with over on Colossus Fantasy. Go and download the app today. Use my promo code SportsWrap. Again, scan that QR code for all the details on it. Okay, so the big story today is news from the NFL. It's a two-parter. News from the NFL. First of all, Patriots, I am imploring you, and I'm not even a Patriots fan. You can see the helmet that's behind me if you want to know which team I root for. Well, it's still back there somewhere. The Giants helmet. Do not go and get A.J. Brown. Do not do this to your football team. How many times do we see talented wide receivers, but sometimes troubled wide receivers? And by troubled, I mean guys that are just distractions for one reason or another. A.J. Brown is a huge talent. None of us doubt that. But you have to know as an organization, for somebody to be that talented and a Super Bowl winning team, a team that won a Super Bowl with him in the Eagles, being so willing to let him walk or trade him, isn't that a red flag for you? Isn't that a flashing siren for you? Oh, maybe it's just them. We could make it work. It's like the parent who says, not my little Johnny. He wouldn't throw rocks at kids. Oh no, we saw him throw rocks. No, you had to have seen something wrong. We see this all the time in the NFL. This complex that teams have, that they think they could be the ones to rein in, fix somebody, if you believe they need fixing, in this case. Think about the impact he's going to have on your young quarterback, Drake May. Think about the impact he's going to have on that locker room. Mike Vrabel, you run the show. This is your barbecue and it's tasting mighty good. You just went to a Super Bowl. And I know there's an element of high risk, high reward. Maybe just for a year we can make it work. But Think about all the damage you could do to a young quarterback who's coming off a disappointing Super Bowl, a young team, and bringing in A.J. Brown to be the mentor to that young team. There's so many ways this goes sideways. I hope it doesn't, but I'm here to tell you that it does before it does. Big story number one. Big story number two. Are you shocked? If you watched this NBA regular season, you shouldn't be. Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs running over the Blazers last night down in the Alamo. And if you thought he was good in the regular season, wait until you see some of the numbers he puts up now in the postseason. When he's going to play more minutes, he's going to be more of a focal point. And in the case of the Blazers, they don't have anybody that can match up to him. Sorry, Donovan Clingan. Good luck. Spurs kind of sleepwalked through the first, 26, 27 minutes of this game. It was down to a 2-point game early in the third quarter. And then all of a sudden they flipped the switch and ran away from the Portland Trail Blazers. And look, there's only a couple of series you can key in on. And Sam and I will talk about this a little later. But there's really only a couple of series you can key in on when it comes to this NBA postseason. Do I think some series can go to 6 games? Yes, but where are the potential fireworks? One of them might be here. Pistons, Magic, a 1-8 matchup. How is that possible? Well, did you watch yesterday? Detroit came out swinging and missing, shooting blanks. And, Orlando, fresh off the play-in tournament, still has some of that momentum going. Is this a case of the Pistons and the weak layoff, and really even more than that in terms of meaningful games that they've played in, and them just needing to ramp up? I think it is. You'll hear the Stephen A. Smiths of the world say, they're in trouble. The Pistons are in trouble. Pistons are going to win this series. And we'll go back and play that Stephen A. Smith clip, early next week when the series is over. Pistons are still going to win this series. There's a reason the Magic were a play-in tournament team. They cannot sustain that level of basketball consistently. Pistons will come back and win that tournament. But not a lot of fun in this NBA first round of this NBA postseason. I hope I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. We're coming back. More NBA playoff talk next. Welcome back to the show. Good to have you all with us on this Monday. You've heard what I had to say in the big story. Now let's bring in our friend Sam Yarnell. How was your weekend, Sam?
Well, let's see, Jason. My weekend was busy. I went to a wedding this weekend.
Nice.
Watched a lot of sports this weekend. I mean, I work every single weekend, so that was in the fold as well. But very busy. But I did hear the argument, and quite frankly, didn't see it for myself with my own 2 eyes, that this is the best sports week of the year from some people. I don't know about all that.
No. What? How is that possible?
I don't know, but it seemed like there was a large contingent of people on the internet trying to argue that this 7-day stretch that we're going through, starting on Saturday, running through, I guess, next Saturday with the Kentucky Derby, people were trying to argue that it's the best stretch of sports because you've got playoff sports every week, you've got regular season baseball in the fold, and you've got the Kentucky Derby. I mean, folks, have you never watched...
Does anybody
the
even
first
watch?
Week of March Madness? What are we doing here?
Does anybody even watch the Kentucky Derby anymore? I mean, really? Does anybody really even watch it? I'd be fascinated to see what the TV numbers show on that. Because I don't. Wow. Maybe we have something to discuss next week. Because next week we're off. So I will be on a boat. Something will be on the air in the place of this show. But it won't be me live every day because I will be on a boat to Mexico. Yeah, exactly. It's going to be great. So let's talk some NBA. And you know, unlike the NHL, which had plenty of game one surprises and upsets, the NBA delivered largely a chalky sort of residue in my mouth. And you know, other than Detroit losing at home to the Magic, which people on social media, I rarely address you. Stop coming at me with the fact that, oh, this isn't an upset that the Magic beat the Pistons in game one. It's a 1 versus 8, and it's an 8 team that was a play-in tournament team that lost their first play-in tournament. Just stop already. I don't want to hear that this isn't an upset. The Pistons won a zillion games this year. I don't want to hear that this isn't an upset. It is frustrating that this is sort of the MO of the Magic, though. That they don't show up during the regular season and then they just flip a switch when we get to the playoffs, Sam, which does lend itself to the idea of what are they doing during the regular season? I know they had injuries. Everybody has injuries. Stop giving me the injuries thing. But, I mean, what they did yesterday, and basically leading wire to wire, not in a blowout fashion, but feeling like they were in control of that game the entire game, Sam, it's got to be jarring to Pistons fans.
First of all, whoever's telling you that wasn't an upset is just crazy. The Magic were getting 8.5 points in this game, which was bet up from 7.5. The sharp money was in on Detroit. Detroit was the rightful favorite in this game. There's no denying that whatsoever. I am with you, Jason. This was 100% an upset. It's crazy that people are out there saying this wasn't an upset just because it's the Detroit Pistons. What are we doing here, people? Like seriously, did you watch basketball at all this year? The Orlando thing is perplexing. I'm glad that we're talking about this game because in the grand scheme of the NBA playoffs, we got to do something. And I know I rant and rant and rant about the play-in, but what, 7 of the 8 series are currently over. 7 of the 8 series, Jason Page, in the National Basketball Association right now are currently over. Like, no shot to the other team. This is the only one where you think, you know, Orlando steals a game early. You know, maybe they've got a shot in this thing. But we got to do something about the NBA playoffs. Orlando could go on and win this series, and maybe it's because of what Kurt Heelan said all year, and it's that Detroit just doesn't have the postseason pedigree. They don't have the experience. They have to learn to play postseason basketball. But you look at all 7 of the other series going on, and the underdog doesn't have a shot.
Unless you're arguing that you think... Are you arguing Houston Lakers is over? That Houston's going to win the series, or that the Lakers are going to win the series?
I think if the Rockets don't get Kevin Durant back, which, you know, that whole situation is a question mark. It's a question mark beyond belief. We thought he was going to be back. We thought he was going to be just fine for game 1. And then 5 minutes before tip, Kevin Durant ruled out for all of game 1. No restriction, no nothing. The Rockets have become such a wild card to me, especially over the course, Jason, of the last 30 games of the season. Think about how much we talked about the disarray that franchise is in. I don't know if I'd give them a shot against the Lakers team that's still playing really good basketball.
Well, they're well coached. Yeah, that's the reality. If you listen to a lot of people who watched that game the other night, Ime Udoka was outcoached by JJ Redick. You know, and the bloom's sort of off the rose now with Ime Udoka, because that team looked, when they found out that Kevin Durant wasn't playing, that team looked like it had no chance at all. Like it was just run down the court and chuck up shots was basically the plan of the Houston Rockets. So I assume you think the one series that is going to be compelling is Minnesota and Denver then.
No, I think Denver's got that series in the bag. Again, the only series that I think has a realistic shot at going more than 6
Orlando?
games is Orlando and Detroit.
I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think Minnesota-Denver's going to go deep. I think Minnesota and Denver's going to go deep. If Rudy Gobert could stop making stupid decisions late in the game, by the way.
But that's the thing, right? And that it's been his thing all year, and he can't. And he showed you in game 1 that he hadn't changed at all, even though the calendar had turned over to the playoffs. So, like, Yeah, maybe the Timberwolves will get a game. I don't doubt that. They'll get a game here or there. Maybe they'll win game 3, their first game at home. But do I give them a shot in the series? It just feels like it's over. It feels like it's Jover, as we would say.
I don't think so. I think Atlanta's going to push the Knicks because the Knicks kind of, even though the Knicks ran away late in that game was close through midway through the fourth. I think these games, these series. Look, I think a lot of the favorites are going to win, Sam. I don't disagree with that. And I still think Detroit's going to win this series, by the way. And the Lakers Rockets one is kind of interesting to me, but I think Philadelphia will push Boston a little bit, despite what we saw in Game 1. Maybe the layoff had something to do with the Pistons. I don't know. We're gonna get into hockey coming up in a couple of minutes. That just felt like a goulash of basketball. We're coming back. Welcome back to the show. Lots of news to get to on this Monday. Hey, when we last left you, the Mets had been on a long losing streak. Guess what? They're still on a long losing streak. There's a lot going on in the NFL. It's draft week, part of apparently the best week in sports. I don't know what they're talking about, Sam. But it is draft week. Giants made a big deal with the Bengals. It sounds like the Patriots are going to go and get A.J. Brown. Looks like that Diana Rossini, Mike Vrabel relationship yielded the proper result. I guess there is going to be a trade between those two sides. So, I guess the reporting on that was accurate, that we were always going to see a deal between the Patriots and the Eagles, with A.J. Brown landing in New England, which just I don't see it working, but okay. I want to talk to you, Sam, about the NHL playoffs, because whereas you think 7 of the 8 series are basically washouts in the NBA first round, that is not going to be the case in the NHL, where you always know you're going to get tons of surprises. Little did we know that one of them was going to be the Bruins throwing up all over themselves late in a come-from-behind win for the Sabres, who beat the Bruins 4-3. But there were a lot of Game 1 upsets, and we'll race through them here in this segment. But start with your Sabres, who get a Game 1 win, mounting a huge rally in doing so.
Yeah, and if you got to go from the Boston perspective, right? You mentioned the main storyline of this game, and the Buffalo Sabres are a wagon, and they are on the warpath, and everything that they're saying in Western New York is completely true. But from a Boston perspective, I mean, if you're waking up in the Boston media market this morning, you're thanking your lucky stars that those Boston Celtics exist. You're thanking your lucky stars that Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown also reside in that city. Because let me tell you, Marco Sturm going through it right now for the city of Boston. In case you missed it, before the series started, he got in front of the media in his last press conference before the series and said, we'll play against Buffalo, but we're bigger than them, we're faster than them, and we're stronger than them, we're more physical than them, so it shouldn't really be a close series, is what Sturm was getting at. Buffalo comes out in their first game in 14 years in the playoffs, and they have more hits in a game than they've had against any team in 16 years. This was a colossal disaster for the part of the man behind the Bruins bench, Jason. If you're the Bruins organization, you seriously, and I get it, it's Marco Sturm's first year. He has no experience. He's an AHL guy, right? He's a minor league guy. He had a minor league moment. But if you're the Boston Bruins, an original 6 hockey team, you can't afford to have a minor league head coach, especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs, because he's going to make mistakes like he did over the course of last week, and then your team's going to do exactly what they did yesterday, which is completely waste A genius performance from arguably the hottest goaltender in the National right now, Jeremy Swayman. He looked locked down for 2.5 periods of this game, 2 3/4 periods of this game. Jeremy Swayman, you completely forgot that he was that guy who let in 3 goals against freaking Denmark in the Olympics, and he looked like the goalie he had been throughout the second half of the NHL season. Then those last 5 minutes of the third hit, and crunch time hit, and key bank center, key bump center, as they're calling it on the internet, was absolutely rocking Jason Page. And Marco Sturm's team couldn't handle the pressure. They collapsed under the pressure. The Sabres score 4 unanswered. The Bruins get a garbage time charity goal late. I mean, this was textbook teach tape what not to do as a National Hockey League coach if you're looking at what happened with the Boston Bruins last night.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they recover from that loss. Golden Knights came from behind. They were down to Utah. They get a win 4-2. I think that series is going to go deep. Would not surprise me at all. Watch Montreal. They went in and beat the Lightning. Hello to our friends watching north of the border on Game Plus. Montreal gets the win. They beat Tampa Bay 4-3. Avalanche were able to hold off the Kings 2-1. It's just the difference between the NHL, especially in the opening rounds, the difference between what you get in the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs and the NBA. I mean, look, if you love competitive, close games and sort of edge of your seat stuff, I hate to say it as an NBA fan, you really want to watch hockey when we get into like mid and late April because anything can happen.
Yep. And I'll tell you, Jason, I have been amazed and a little disheartened, but simultaneously very excited by how physical this playoffs has been. And that's not to say that the NHL playoffs aren't always physical, but I was actually remarking to somebody in the hockey world yesterday. I was saying, you know, for this first round, and this was before the Buffalo game had even started, so we were about 3/4 of the way through the first round, and I said, this first round, it's felt a little more chippy all around, right? There's always that added physicality of playoff hockey, and the refs are letting the boys play a little bit more. There was just a little bit extra, it feels like, layer of after the whistle stuff going on across the league, and it started with the opening face-off of the opening series between the Senators and Hurricanes when Brady Tkachuk absolutely starts chucking knucks 3 seconds into the game. It has been incredible. It's the best playoff in sports for exactly this reason. And we didn't even talk about half of the upsets that look like we could have live dogs in series against some of the best teams in the league, Jason.
Yeah, and Flyers-Penguins is going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a good series. But Dennis Bernstein said the series that he said if he can only have one, because I don't think I told you this. He actually thinks the Bruins could win that series. He actually was very high on them. I wonder how he's feeling after game one.
Hot goaltending in the playoffs.
Yeah, but the other series I think that is very much worth watching. Hello to our friends watching on Sportsnet Pittsburgh today. I feel like Casey Kasem here throwing out dedications to everybody. I'm of a certain age. I'm sorry. I just aged myself despite my forehead. Flyers beat the Penguins 3-2. And that's going to be another one of those series that I think goes extremely deep. But again, you look at all those game one matchups. There was only one game that was a blowout, and it was the 6-1 Wild win in Dallas against the Stars. That's it.
And it was a shocker, right? Yeah. Not to say that the Wild haven't been playing great hockey and they've got some electric players. I mean, you saw Matt Boldy, what he did in the Olympics, what he did in that game, but the Dallas Stars have been one of the 3 best teams in hockey at worst, like for the last 2.5 months, and they get blown out in game 1 at home? What's going on?
A huge trade in the NFL. Dexter Lawrence sent packing to Cincinnati. We'll get into that and more next. Welcome back to the show. Brian Twining makes an appearance 10 minutes from now. Our friend from Bleacher Nation. Talk some NASCAR. Tyler Reddick wins again. He can't be stopped. Wins in Kansas. Needed overtime to do it, but he'll take it. Michael Jordan was there watching. I don't know how many times Michael Jordan's been in Kansas. Just curious. Probably not a place he's visited all that often. Sam Yarnell. I don't know. Just throwing that off the top of my head, thinking out loud. I'm trying to think if I've even been to Kansas.
Well, minor league baseball.
Oh, maybe.
I feel like
AAA?
they may go through Kansas a lot.
Do they have a AAA team? I don't know. That's a good question.
They used to have
Wichita?
The Omaha Storm Chasers.
Omaha's Nebraska. Omaha's Nebraska.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Hold on, let's just all let that sink in and just look at Sam try to watch the embarrassment wash over Sam's face.
Because I've been to both of those states.
Yeah, I've been to Rosenblatt.
Time in both of those states. That's a real shame.
I've been to Rosenblatt Stadium. Hold on, I want to see you just wiggle out of the fact that you put Omaha in Kansas.
There's
hello to our friends watching
definitely
in
a
Omaha.
minor league baseball team in Kansas, and it's a damn
Wichita
shame that
has
I can't
one.
think of it.
I know Wichita has a AAA team or a AA.
Is that what it is?
AA or AAA? They had, I think they had the Drillers at one. No, Tulsa was the Drillers.
That's Tulsa.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Okay.
God damn.
Yeah. All right. Well,
does Topeka have a team?
They might. It's 2 minutes of everybody's lives that they're not getting back. Dexter Lawrence, his sanity back. He's headed to Cincinnati to play for the Bengals. So instead of having one great defensive player in Trey Hendrickson, who gets double teamed by everybody, now they'll have one great defensive player in Dexter Lawrence, who will get double teamed by everybody. Good luck with that. And the Giants got a first round pick out of it. As a Giants, kind of a Giants fan. They did the what's his name did sell the team. He sold off his stake of the team. He just sold it to his family. All that being said, Giants trade away Dexter Lawrence. And boy, it is John Harbaugh's team. If it wasn't before, it certainly is now. You break it, you buy it.
Yeah. Listen, man, Dexter Lawrence is a good football player. I won't sit here and tell you that he's not. This move is confusing from all aspects. If you're the Giants, thank goodness you get the number 10 pick out of it. That's probably the best you were going to do. Realistically,
absolutely.
I don't think there were any other teams that were willing to give you anywhere near that much draft capital. What on earth are the Cincinnati Bengals doing? What on earth are the Cincinnati Bengals doing? This is a team, Jason, that year in and year out, we talk about, the Bengals, they're going to have money problems again. Oh, the Bengals, they went shopping at the discount store for their entire defense this year. And now they're giving out $28 million a year to a D tackle. It doesn't seem well thought out. It doesn't seem like, again, this is an organization that knows the direction that they need to go to maximize the years they have remaining of the trio of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins. This doesn't feel like the move that, or a part of the move that gets you over the edge, that gets you to being a real contender in the AFC. Because right now, let's be honest, the Bengals haven't been a real contender in the AFC, at least for the last 3-4 years. So I don't know. This doesn't feel like the move for Cincinnati that saves them. But simultaneously, if you're New York, you gotta be ecstatic. You gotta be like, oh my gosh, the guy wanted to leave, didn't want to play here anymore, and we just got a top 10 pick out of it. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's a great move for the Giants that they're able to move him and actually get something for him, because in a lot of these situations, you just got to kind of take what you can get. And now it's not going to, they don't have to worry about it carrying into training camp or any of those distractions. You move on from him. It had been discussed. What were you going to say real quick?
I was just going to say, I wanted him to be on the Bills. I thought the Bills were going to have to give up, I thought it was going to be a lot for them to give up 2 third-round picks for him.
Yeah.
The Giants landing a first-round pick is near unheard of.
The Eagles, apparently, according to Adam Schefter, remain open to trading A.J. Brown. And the Patriots seem like they're the buyers in this case. I don't think this works. I don't want my young quarterback polluted by A.J. Brown. I just don't. I know they need him. I know they need that kind of playmaker. And maybe for a year it works out. Maybe you get him on good behavior for a year, Sam. but I do not like this move for the Patriots at all.
It's a very good take. I don't disagree with you. What I'll say, and I agree with you, just to be clear, but to play devil's advocate for a second, what I'll say is Drake May does, quite frankly, have now experience with the diva wide receiver who goes through a lot while being on the team in Stephon Diggs, right? You've seen the impact negatively that Stephon Diggs can have on quarterbacks' careers, i.e. holding Josh Allen back from winning a Super Bowl, practically destroying CJ Stroud. We'll see what happens with Drake May, I guess, from that angle. But I to your point, it's a very, very slippery slope, especially in the NFL in 2026, to have a quarterback really going into their, I know it's technically his third year, but like for all intents and purposes, this is Drake May's second year in the National Football League. And to have him go from diva level wide receiver Stephon Diggs to who's about here to diva level wide receiver AJ Brown.
Brian Twining talks NASCAR odds and ends later. Welcome back to the show. Odds and ends wraps it up in 10 minutes. One note from WrestleMania last night that we're going to get to. Brock Lesnar's shocking retirement. Maybe it wasn't shocking. I don't know. I found out just now this guy's a bit of a wrestling geek. Brian Twining here, Bleacher Nation, hangs out with us to talk NASCAR. What'd you think of Brock Lesnar retiring?
To be honest with you, my initial reaction was, why does anybody care?
Oh, come on. Really?
No, I guess I took a more of a serious point of view of it, with Lesnar being involved with some outside of the ring situations.
Oh, yeah, of course. We all know that. I mean,
yeah. And to be honest with you, it's gotten kind of corny that they do this every single year now. Like
somebody retires
I don't watch
every
wrestling.
year.
Yeah. I don't watch wrestling often anymore. You know, I'm back in the Stone Cold, The Rock days.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's the repeated storylines of the retirements and stuff like that.
All right. Fair enough. Let's talk NASCAR. I mean, Tyler Reddick wins again. This time he needed overtime to do it, but he holds off Kyle Larson, gets a win in Kansas. Larson is denied again. We're going on a year of Kyle Larson not winning, which is bonkers unto itself. But first, from the perspective of Tyler Reddick winning this race, winning again, coming out of the Easter break strong. Give me your thoughts on this win for Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, I just think that if anybody was still discounting the strength of 2311 to begin this year, I think you really need to start reevaluating how you're looking at this season. I mean, I think it's quite apparent that the 45 is the championship favorite. They're unloading every single week with rockets. Doesn't matter what kind of track we're at. I mean, he won in the 750 horsepower package at Darlington. He won a road course. He's won 2 super speedway races, and now he wins here at a traditional intermediate track. I just don't know what else he has to do to prove that this team is going to be there.
How much of it is him? How much of it is the car?
I think it's definitely a combination of the two. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation around that topic with Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin in terms of, if you're not in a good car, it's going to be really hard to win. But also, too, the driver has to put the car in the positions to win. And for what we saw yesterday in that overtime restart was akin to how Reddick won at Homestead 2 years ago, where he put the car where other people wouldn't in order to get the job done. Even Larson, he said it too. Like, he was tight, so he took a safe line into 3, which allowed Reddick to do the ballsy move and go for the win.
I'm glad you bring up that ballsy move and the idea that Kyle Larson not having won in a year maybe has to play it a little different than Tyler Reddick, who right now, every week, he's playing with house money.
Yes.
And with each subsequent win, he's playing with more house money. So is there sort of a mindset that he can really take chances that nobody else can take because he's already locked in?
The only pushback I would put to that is with the new scoring format, you really can't afford to start DNFing or costing yourself solid finishes because you're going for that all-out victory. Whereas like yesterday, going into turn 3, he was in a position where even if he misses the corner and he has to back out, he's going to finish second or third at worst. And so, you know, he is playing with house money in regards to he can get a little riskier, but it's not like in the playoff era where with a win, you can go out there and just do whatever you want to do and wreck and it not matter.
Bubba Wallace finished in the top 5. This was a spot where I thought he could potentially get right this week. You know, we're still keeping an eye on Bubba. Even though he got a win last year, we're still keeping an eye on Bubba. How encouraging is it for him to get into the top 5 here?
Yeah, I fully expected the 23 car to be a top 10, potentially a top 5 car. With how they unloaded, it looked like 2311 was going to be amongst the strongest vehicles. And to a manufacturer side, Toyota in general has been the class of the field this year. Whether it's the intermediate package, the short track package, they are the car to beat. And 2311 is the team that's unloading with the most speed. And so Bubba, previous winner here at Kansas, 2311 has now won 4 times out of the 9 races in the next-gen era at that track. And so, I fully expected Wallace to be a decent car.
Yeah, you mentioned Kyle Busch. This whole thing with Denny Hamlin that's going on. Before I get a quick thought from you on Talladega, what did you make of the whole hullabaloo, I guess, if you will, between Busch and Hamlin?
I don't know. Kyle Busch is a legend of the sport, but there's definitely some credence to his pushback to Denny in that I would like to see Denny get in this particular car because RCR has really kind of faltered the last couple of seasons. But it's not like we didn't see Kyle Busch in the same equipment as Denny in the last 3 years of his career at JGR, where Busch was beginning to kind of spiral and hit the wall for the aging veterans that you usually see in the Cup Series. Denny Hamlin's success at this age is an anomaly. Most guys don't do this. Just look at Martin Truex Jr. He didn't win for 2 years or close to 2 seasons as his career ended.
Last but not least, in the last 30 seconds, what do you think of Talladega next week? Do you think anything?
It's going to be a lot of fuel saving still until the final 20 laps, and watch out for Kyle Larson breaking the streak. He's tied with the most top 5 finishes in the next gen era in the Cup Series here.
All right. Well, he's got to win sometime. So maybe it's next week.
Brian, it would be ironic too.
It absolutely would be. Brian Twining, Bleacher Nation, does a great job on NASCAR. Always appreciate you. Good to catch up, my friend.
Yeah, it was great to come back.
Just about time to put the wraps on this baby, but before we do, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. Available on all your favorite podcasting platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. Any podcasting platform you can listen to us Monday through Friday, crystal clear audio. It is great. YouTube channel is the place to find all things Sports Wrap with Jason Page, the Monday through Friday TV version of the show. If you have not checked this out yet, you don't know what you're missing. The Monday through Friday TV version of the show available on the YouTube channel, 45 minutes, commercial free. We strip all the commercials out of it, and you can watch us there in its entirety. We also have our companion podcast there. Sports Wrap Shorts are there. These are 1 to 3 minute long vertical videos, quick. When news breaks, we jump in and give it to you there with Sports Wrap Shorts. Sports Wrap Shorts available on our YouTube channel. Sports Wrap Shorts also available on our TikTok, Sports Wrap Jason Page, and on our Instagram. You guessed it, the same name. Sports Wrap Jason Page. And now, without any further delay on this Monday edition of the show, it's time for some Odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. I know you're not a big wrestling guy, but everybody knows Brock Lesnar. And it could be, and it sounds like it's the end of an era, between Brock Lesnar, the UFC fighter, and Brock Lesnar, the WWE wrestler that we've seen. Brock Lesnar getting decimated by Obafemi last night who, if you have not seen, Obafemi is a just massive specimen. At WrestleMania, night 2 of WrestleMania last night in Las Vegas, where attendance was down this year for WrestleMania. Yeah, they only had like 50,000 the first night, 56,000 I think on night 2. That's about 15,000 less fans roughly than there were last year for WrestleMania in Las Vegas, which will be in Saudi Arabia next year, by the way. So if you're planning to make that trip, start making those plans right now. Obafemi destroying the beast Brock Lesnar, and after the match, Brock Lesnar leaving his equipment in the ring, and that's usually the telltale sign of somebody that's retired. He thanked the fans. It was a very emotional send-off. I don't know if even WWE expected it, but certainly a surprise last night with Brock Lesnar walking out of the ring and leaving his equipment in the ring at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought up the fans and the attendance at this event, Jason, because it was a stain for WWE. Let's call it what it is. I'm sure most of you out there watching have seen the now viral video. There's a relatively famous content creator who was at this WWE event making content for the WWE, independently, bought his own ticket, was literally there just posting videos of stuff that was going on. Completely harmless, painted WWE in a pretty good light, actually, and then they kicked him out. They kicked him out of Allegiant Stadium. Really bad look for WWE. They are getting dragged for it online, as they very well should, because again, you have a guy who paid thousands of dollars for a floor seat, not making any ruckus, not obstructing anybody at all, and they kick him out. Tough. You mentioned it about the numbers. It's what everybody's talking about. It seems like just as wrestling had kind of rebuilt the platform that we knew them to have in the early 2000s and the late 90s that you remember, right? Just as they had kind of scratched that surface once again, you had this event where, I Show Speed is body slamming people through tables, and Jelly Roll is body slamming Pat McAfee. And then, Pat McAfee showing up at WWE events in like a neck brace. It's all becoming too much for They had a good thing going. They've gotten too much of it, and it's become a bad thing. So it's a shame to watch it happen all in real time again. But like I'm kind of hoping they get it figured out, because it feels like the sports world's a better place when WWE's thriving.
Yeah, no argument there. The Mets have lost 11 in a row, Sam Yarnell. Is Carlos Mendoza going to make it through the month of April at this point? Because what other move are you going to make other than to fire the manager? And I'm not even saying that's a move that helps them. I just wonder if Steve Cohen goes all George Steinbrenner here and decides to fire Carlos Mendoza.
It wouldn't surprise me, because it does feel like every single day more and more so that Steve Cohen owns the Mets. It's that he's just trying to be a Steinbrenner. Like he's just living with this lifelong kind of upsetness, sadness, if you will, that he wasn't born into the Steinbrenner family, and he's just trying to be more like them every day. And every time he thinks that I've got the Yankees move here, it completely blows up in his face. It's kind of like a sitcom, if you think about it. The New York Mets have kind of turned into a sitcom at this point in the season, which, quite frankly, happens every year for the last 20 years, but this might be a historically early time for it to happen. You got to do something. Maybe fire Steve Cohen. Can we do that?
I don't think that's going to happen. Some Met fans will say it is the curse of Mamdani. Ever since Mrs. Met hugged Zoran Mamdani, the Mets have not won a game.
On the moon?
Pink Pony Club on the moon. It is a great time to follow Frank Fleming of Barstool Sports. If you really want to feel better about your life, just go and watch Frank Fleming videos on X. I promise you won't be disappointed. It's going to do it for us on this Monday edition of the show. Thanks to Brian Twining. Thanks to you, Sam Yarnell, for hanging out with us. We are back on Tuesday for an all-new edition of Sports Wrap. We'll see you all then. I'm Jason Page. We'll catch you back here on Tuesday. Bye-bye.